So this is a horse that just came in yesterday. He's supposed to be a broke horse, and he's here for better steering, better stop, that kind of thing. But they told me that in the past they've had some issues with saddle fit. So I wanted to saddle him on camera so that we can talk about how it's going to fit him as I saddle and what I'm seeing and what I'm thinking. So right off hand, what I'm seeing is he has pretty prominent shoulder blades right here with a little bit of a dip behind, and he's a little bit weak right here. None of that is really bad, but it's just enough that I can see that it's there. So we're going to have to make sure we account for that when I'm saddling him. He doesn't seem to be sore anywhere right now. That's what we need right there. So what I'm feeling here, this is the best one out of the bunch. What I'm feeling here, where he's hollow back here, there's not a lot of contact. But it's not pinching him too bad up here. I think the curve of this saddle helps to match his back. So let's try this, and we'll see what the sweat marks look like when I take it off of him. Don't think that's perfect, but it's pretty decent. If you remember, I did a saddle fitting for another horse that was built kind of similar to this, except more extreme. Shoulders were bigger and the hollowed out spot was bigger. And I took a pad and I cut some squares out where his shoulder blades were. And that really helped that horse. That might be what this horse needs, but what I really think is going to happen, if I can get him something to work to get him comfortable, and I can build up these muscles behind his shoulders better, I think it's going to be a non-issue. I think the issue is going to go away. I think the main reason it's an issue now is because he needs more muscle down his back. So just guessing from what I see on his conformation. We'll see if I'm right when I get on. I might be, I might not be, don't know. But what I'm guessing, by looking at how his muscle development is, I'm expecting him to be kind of heavy on his front end because his muscles are pretty big on his front. I'm going to expect him to be weak driving in the back end because his back end's weaker than his front end. And I expect him to not round his back up really good. So we'll see if I'm right when I get on. That's what I'm expecting by what I'm looking at the horse. The owner said that he needs a better handle, and what I'm seeing here muscle-wise goes along with needing a better handle, because if he has all his weight on his front end and he's not rounding his back or engaging the back end, he's not going to steer. So we'll see. We'll see if I'm right. I'm going to start with a plain smooth ring snaffle for this first ride. He has a good bit of riding on him, according to the owner, and I have not seen anything here in his demeanor standing in this wash rack that would tell me different. This horse has never been in this wash rack until when I let him in here a few minutes ago. And he walked right in like he'd been here and done it before. Took the bit very nice. Bridle might be a little short on him. I'm going to have to lengthen this side over here. He has a bigger head than what I thought he did. It's wide. It's wide this way. All right, let's take him out here and we'll see what he does. Thank you. All right, so I just tightened the saddle, walk him just a little bit. That way he can get used to the tightness of the saddle being tight, and also so I can see how his reaction is. He's reacting how I would expect him to react and how I'd expect him to act, given everything that the owner has told me. So let's see if he'll stand while I get on. I'll stand up in the saddle and not swing my leg over. Make sure he stands. I'll swing my leg over and sit down. When I do that, I keep my upper body leaned across the other side with my leg against the saddle so I can center my weight more on the horse. I don't have all my weight on this stirrup right here. So what I want to do, he stood very nice. Definitely nothing to complain about here. And he hadn't even been out here before. Just totally new to him. So he's really taking this in good. What I want to do is make contact with one rein and walk a circle, make sure that I have control of speed and direction. Since I've never been on him before and I don't know him, he don't know me. That's how I start off. Let's take the left rein and walk forward. Yeah, I can definitely feel he's walking heavy on the front feet. All right, now let's go to the right. I do have to pull pretty hard, harder than I'd like to point his nose. His face needs to be softer. It's not really. Let's go forward. I can feel, see how the last two steps he took with his front feet, he's just all on his front end. Let's get the front end moving. Let's get moving. Come on. Get his feet moving. So let's go ahead. He seems pretty broke as far as he ain't going to buck or anything, which I didn't really expect, but I expected him to be good. I just wanted to make sure before I got myself in a bind. So the very next thing I'm going to work on is I'm going to work on lifting his back, building his back muscles up, building his hips up. That's going to get his body in a better position to work on the steering. Right now, the steering is like steering a dump truck without power steering because he's all on his front end. I'll fix that. I'll start fixing that by getting his back up, get his weight shifted over to his back end. So what I'm going to do is make contact with my left rein, and I'm going to give him a push with my left leg, ask him to leg yield over. When I asked him to leg yield with my leg, his nose went out and he was pulling harder on my left leg, or my left hand. He's still pulling harder on my left hand. Let's do that again. Left rein, left leg. There we go. I got his left foot to step up and over. Let's go back in the circle again. As soon as we went forward, he just all went on his front end. If you watch his head going down and up and where he puts it, you can probably see that. Let's do the same thing off the right rein, right leg. Push up my right leg, right hand up, step over, step over, step over. There we go. He got better, and as soon as I released my leg, he went back on his front end again. So let's add another exercise in here. I want to do what I call bend, counter bend circles. This helps steering. It helps pick the back up, which is what he needs. And this is also my foundation training for a spin. So let's walk this right circle. I have his nose tipped to the right. Inside rein is going to be pulling basically towards my chin. And my legs, both legs are just saying go forward. So we're just walking a right circle here. Now what we're going to do, we're going to attempt to walk the same right circle, but ask him to counter bend with his head to the outside. So what I'll do is raise my left hand up, push with my left leg, lift shoulder, push, push. I want to time my push when gotta have forward. I want to time my push when that left foot's coming up off the ground. There we go. Now let's go back to a regular bend circle. What this maneuver does, when I go into the counter bend, that really picks up the back, picks up the shoulder, and engages the hip. Let's do it again. Forward, forward, counter bend, left leg, left hand, push, push, push. There we go. Back to a regular bend. Let's go through the middle and change directions. Go the other way. Go forward. See, this right shoulder is just falling out there. I mean, it's like a car just skidding on ice. Let's counter bend, be right rein, right leg, lift, lift. See how my left hand is coming up, kind of pulling towards my face, to my nose. Don't have a whole bunch of counter bend here. I'd like to have more. There we go. But as he gets a little softer and gets a little rounder, that counter bend will come. So another exercise to help build this back up. Let's do some zigzag backups. This is going to get him to lift the shoulder. What I'm going to do is ask him to back and bring the shoulder over. Stop. After he stops, I'll give him his face. We're going to back again and bring the shoulder over. See, as soon as I ask him to bring his shoulder over, just planted his front feet. There we go. Back. Let's go to the left again, since he had a harder time with that. There we go. He's pulling on my hands and pulling on the bit because he has so much weight on his front feet. He can't put his body. It's hard for him to put his body where it needs to be, which all I'm asking for is backup. Now let's go back to the right. Back up again. To the left. I don't want him to go forward between the back and moving the shoulders. Let's back up again and move the shoulders. That's his problem area. Then I'll release. Back, back, and move the shoulders. So one of the things that the owner told me this horse has done, and seeing how he carries his body, it doesn't surprise me a bit. She says that this horse has come up off the ground in the front end a little bit. Not often in a high rear, but a few times just kind of coming off a little bit. Well, what causes that is he's so heavy on his front end, and if the rider is asking him to do something like move the front end laterally or back up, but they're not shifting his weight to his back end first, well, in order to do what he's being asked to do with his front end, the only thing you can do is kind of hop into it. Hop over here or hop over there. And that causes the horse to kind of pop up in the front end a little bit. So if you have a horse that's popping up in the front end a little bit, the really good chance that he's carrying himself heavy on his front end, and that's the only way that he can do what you're asking him to do. He's not trying to refuse by popping up. He's just trying to get his body to do it. So if I took my hands and I pulled this way, I would be pulling his shoulders down, and then the only way he could move his feet would be to pop up in the front end. That's why I'm going to pull my hands up, lift the shoulders right there when he breaks at the pole. There we go. Right there when he breaks at the pole a little bit, he's lifting the shoulders. When you saw him kind of giving his face, kind of like he was fussing with the bit, well, what he was fussing with the bit, but he was fussing because the bit was asking him to do something that was hard, which was lift his shoulders. It's not that he's fussing with the bit. The bit isn't the issue. It's that the bit is having him use his body in a way that's hard for him. That's why he's complaining. And it's kind of like eating your vegetables. I don't really care for vegetables, but I have to eat my vegetables. Well, he might not care for using his body correctly, but he needs to learn to. I'm just going to wait. He'll break his, there we go. There. What I want to have him do is break at the pole, lift his shoulders, and back up. That's what he did the first time. He didn't do it quite that the second time. That's why I like to do the zigzag. Doing it this way, he has to lift his shoulders, both his shoulders up to get the back step. There we go. So with the zigzag, if I ask him to move his shoulders over, I'm lifting the shoulder, and then we're backing. Makes the back easier. See how much easier the back came to him that time? Move over, back, release. Move over, back, release. Good boy. Nice horse. Just his issue is how he's carrying his body. Let's step off to the right. Notice my inside hand is up. Helps lift the shoulder and lift it up so he can step that way. It's a good opportunity for me to talk about how my rein pull influences the shoulders. Everything that he needs his shoulders lifted. So if I ask him to step to the left and I pull this way, he's losing us forward. I have to keep sending him forward. Now watch what happens if I lift my hand and pull this way. See how he stepped around easier? Took him a step or two to get his shoulder up out of the way, but once he got it out of the way, he stepped around easier. Right now, all his weight is on this left front shoulder, his left shoulder. And now lift. And he can step over easier. Let's do the same thing to the right. I pull low. Now pull up. There you go. See how much nicer that is? That time I pull out here instead of here. So if I pull here, I'm going to get his shoulders up really nice. But that's like starting at step 2. I know you've heard of a leading rein, a direct rein. A lot of people pull it out here. Well, I can pull it out here and lead him over there. See the step? Pull it out here, lead him over there. Now if I pull that rein here, there we go. Nice step there, nice frame. Go forward. Remember, for all this to work, to get the shoulder up, you have to have engagement in the back end. You have to have forward. With this horse, I am not going to get the forward that I need without a spur encouraging his back to lift up and engage forward. There we go. Lift right there. I have both spurs just kind of squeezing right where they hang. That's adding a little bit of lift. See how his walk is getting a little bit better here? The walk isn't better because I'm spurring him forward. The walk is better because I'm lifting his back up. And when I lift his back, that helps his back end to engage. I would be willing to bet that when this horse lopes, it scrambles in the front end and the back end is like it can't keep up. That's pretty common for a horse that's real heavy on the front end. He has a lot of muscle here and not much here. So it would make sense, since his front end is more fit than his back end, that when he lopes, it's all front end pulling and no back end pushing. So by encouraging his back to lift with my spurs, I'm asking that back end to engage, to lift. Use those muscles back there. So I'll be doing more videos of this horse and you can see how he progresses. This is something, since I'm building muscle, it takes time, it takes a lot of repetition. Kind of like going to the gym and us getting fit. It don't happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight with him, but it will happen. So this is Wilbur. I'll be doing more videos of him as he progresses. Until next time, thank you for watching.